Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, passion for excellence, and by Dow Automotive Systems, innovations for clean powertrain solutions.
This is Autoline Daily for February 16, 2011, and now the news. New car sales have been falling in Europe for 10 months now, largely because governments let their cash for clunkers programs expire and because of weak economies. Bloomberg reports that Fiat, Toyota, and Ford all saw their sales drop a lot. But Germany and France are clear exceptions. Sales grew there. And thanks to a strong German economy, Volkswagen saw its sales grow 6%, and it now commands 22% of the European market, which is the highest I ever remember it reaching. German automakers are also benefiting from the strong growth in China, but China is no longer the fastest growing market in the world, at least not on a percentage basis. Right now, Russia is the fastest growing car market in the world, with sales up 72% last month. Then comes India, up 24%, and Brazil, up 14%. At the other end of the spectrum, sales in Japan fell 19% in January. GM's head honcho, Dan Akerson, says he wants to drastically increase production of the Volt, more than doubling production over the next 2 years. The company was scheduled to build 15,000 units this year and 45,000 in 2012. That's all fine and good, but you can't just turn a knob and crank out more cars. A very good story in Ward's points out there's a huge supply chain behind every vehicle on the road that goes at least 4 to 5 layers deep. Every supplier has to ramp up production, and all you need is one to miss their target to delay the entire program. Plus, Volt suppliers are going from hand-built parts to mass production tools, and then they're going to have to double their tool sets. That adds variability to the process, and that can lead to quality problems. You know, it is good to have stretch goals, but if GM has quality problems with the Volt, it'll become the laughingstock of the world. More and more young people in France are buying quadricycles. These four-wheeled vehicles are limited to a top speed of 28 miles an hour, that's 45 kilometers an hour, and they have a maximum weight of 772 pounds, or about 350 kilograms. Despite these limitations, they can be driven on most normal roads. The idea was to give elderly folks in France a way of getting around without requiring them to get a driver's license, which is getting more and more difficult to get. So now, Ward's reports, younger people in urban areas are really getting into quadricycles. Still, the market is tiny. Only 13,000 were registered in the country last year. They cost about as much as other small cars, in the neighborhood of 12,000 euro, about $16,000, but the fuel economy is phenomenal, around 81 miles per gallon. That's roughly 2.9 liters per 100 kilometers. Like NFL quarterback Brett Favre, Bob Lutz just can't seem to make up his mind about retirement. According to the Detroit News, the former product chief and GM are in talks about bringing him back as a paid consultant. Lutz retired from GM last year, but he continues to have a close relationship with the company and speaks frequently with CEO Dan Akerson. Lutz says, and I quote, "If they want me to come in as a consultant, I'd be very happy to consider it." You know, sounds like a done deal to me. Hey, if you're at the Geneva Motor Show this year, you'll see this wild-looking vehicle that even its creators admit looks like a grown-up golf cart. Called the Bamboo, it was developed by Rinspeed and Swiss engineering firms 4RC and Esoro. Rinspeed says the Bamboo is created for beautiful beaches and vacation spots around the world. But unlike a golf cart, the Bamboo comes with some unique features. The canopy-like inflatable roof is covered with a water-resistant nano coating to help protect the interior from possible morning dew. It can even display personal messages on a screen that replaces the radiator grille. It's an EV, so it didn't need that space anyway. It can seat up to 4 people, but the rear seats are inflatable and can be stored in aluminum cases in the cargo bed. The dashboard is in the shape of a bread box and even opens like one to reveal the gauges. It features a docking station for computer tablets next to the glove box. So will you see a Bamboo the next time you're at the beach? Possibly. Rinspeed says there have been constructive talks with a number of potential manufacturers. Hey, coming up next, it's time for You Said It.
Introducing Bridgestone's third generation of run-flat tires with groundbreaking new Bridgestone technologies. Bridgestone run-flat tires offer improved ride comfort, lower rolling resistance, and improved wear while giving you the peace of mind and comfort you need.
And now it's time for some of your feedback. Kit Gerhardt saw our story that the Penske Automotive Group is throwing in the towel on the Smart and giving it back to Mercedes. He asks, I've always wondered if Penske ever drove a Smart before getting involved in its distribution. It's hard to believe he would have put his money into it had he experienced the horrid transmission. You know, Kit, that is a real puzzle. Any kind of car guy who drove the Smart would instantly know it is not a satisfying car to drive. You know, maybe there's a bigger story behind the scenes that would explain why Penske would cut a deal with Mercedes to try and sell these things. Alex Kovnat saw our report on the breakthrough in aluminum called covetic aluminum, but he wants to know, how well would this aluminum carbon composite or alloy perform with regard to resisting corrosion? Alex, that's the beauty of covetic aluminum. It does not corrode at all. In fact, they also have covetic copper, and it maintains that nice shiny copper look forever. It doesn't turn green like normal copper usually does. Seawolf heard me report that a source in the union tells us some UAW officers are hiring their sons into the skilled trades, even though they're not qualified, and how I said, we're going to be looking into this. So he says, if you discover any connections between unions and organized crime, just think of concrete loafers and remember the name Hoffa. Hey, can some of us fellas take turns hosting the show if you disappear? Seawolf, thanks for the offer. And whatever happens, the show will go on. HTG saw our report on Monday that most victims of sudden unintended acceleration in Toyotas are older women. He says, so is what I'm hearing from John this Valentine's Day that old ladies are crap drivers? HTG, I'm not making any kind of editorial comment like that, but all I can say is, them's the facts. And that's today's report on the top news in the global automotive industry. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.